Making an outline of your text can really add a little bit of creativity to your layouts. Here is my tutorial that I wrote for outlining text many years ago, and this was done in Photoshop Elements 3. And if you have Photoshop Elements 3, you can still utilize the filters as I share with you in this tutorial. Unfortunately, in later versions of Photoshop, they took out those text filters. I don't know why, because they were pretty cool. So we have to utilize other methods. You know, there's always more than one way to do something in Photoshop Elements, and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that you can do outlining of text. I have here my file that I was playing in. Let's see. I just opened it up. Let me find, here's the text layer. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that with Control J so I have something to play with. So here's some text I made with the text tool, and if we go back to this tutorial, if you look at the graphic, if you can see it, it's kind of a low quality graphic. If you use a thin font like Arial, you'll get a totally different effect for an outline as you do if you would utilize a fat font. So choosing the font to fit your style also will open up whole new worlds for creativity. But for this right now, we're just going to play with this Arial font. The easiest way, for me anyway, in the newer versions of Photoshop Elements to outline this text is to simply add any layer style. I'm just going to add a drop shadow layer style to it. Go back down to it here in the layers palette. I'm going to double click on the FX to bring up the style settings. Now I don't want a drop shadow on here. I just put that on there in order to be able to utilize the style settings. So I'm going to deselect drop shadow here, and now we have no styles on this text layer at all. Down here at the bottom, you're going to see there's a stroke option. So I can click on that, and it's going to add a stroke. I'm going to zoom in around my text. It's currently in red. If you double click on this little red box, it brings up the color picker, and I can change this to any color I want. Now you can change the size of the stroke by moving the slider. Let's say you want your outline to be much fatter. Right here might be a good setting, around 18 for this particular font to make it fat. Or if you want it really thin, a thin outline, you can move it way down. Of course, if you move it way up, let's see what, I'm going to show you what happens. I have to actually apply it to be able to zoom out. You can see you get a whole new different effect, almost as if you're making a sticker out of this text. So I'm going to open that back up, and because I don't want mine to be that large. Let's get an outline about right there. Looks good for our purposes. I have it at 16. If you want, you can play with the opacity to get even more creativity, but I'm going to, for this purpose, leave it at 100%. Then I'm going to click OK. Now we've got this stroke around here, but it's not necessarily just the outline, and there's a very simple, easy way to get rid of the original text and that is to go to the Effects drop-down menu. If you scroll down, you're going to see the choice for visibility. And there are 3 visibility choices. Hide is in the middle, ghosted, and show. So we're going to hide the visibility of the original text. And as soon as you do that, you see now that we are left with just an outline. So it's as simple as that, adjusting your stroke settings. And if I want right now, I can go back in here and change the size of that stroke and the color also to whatever I want it to be. Now, once you get it exactly the way you want it, I would suggest to go ahead and right-click and choose to simplify or rasterize this layer. And now it's permanently, it didn't take. There we go. And you see the styles are gone because it's permanently all meshed together. I cannot change it anymore as far as visibility or that stroke style. Now the tutorial gives some more ideas for things that you can do with outlined text. The first one I'm going to share with you here is to remember that this is completely visible, transparent through what is outlined. And so in this sample, I actually made a stamp of a firework and I hung it from that Y. And so you can see how you can get creative and hang different things from that the text in that way. Let's go ahead and get a little creative and fill the transparent areas with the paint bucket. So if I wanted to choose a color, and of course green wasn't a good choice, but choose any color, get the paint bucket, and I could simply sit here and fill it in. And maybe I want some letters to be one color and some letters to be another color. And so you could go in and fill these in this manner and create a whole new variety with that text. Let's go back to the tutorial and see what it suggests next. Using a gradient. Now this is kind of a cool thing. I'm going to go ahead and hit Control J to duplicate this layer, so we're saving this original one to play with again. If you open your gradient tool and you go to, I forgot where I found this, I think, is it special effects? No. Somewhere in here. There, under Color Harmonies 2. Now, of course, you can use the gradient tutorial and make your own gradients. You can pick out any of these. In here, you can download lots of freebies, gradients, lots of variety and ideas. But for the purposes of mine, since it was 4th of July and I just wanted red, white, and blue, here is the red, white, and blue gradient default that comes with Photoshop Elements. So I chose it. I'm going to hold down the Control key and click here on the Layers palette to make a selection around this outline of the text. And now I'm going to click down with my mouse on the left and draw all the way across to the right. And I've applied a gradient, let's Control D to deselect, to that text. I could go ahead and hold down my Control key and make that selection again. Maybe I don't like it, and do it again. Until I get something maybe that I think I like. can just keep playing in different directions until you get something that you like, or you can go up here and change the stops and do as indicated with the gradient tutorial to get various effects. Let's see what the next suggestion was in my old tutorial. Here it even suggests I can see it on this one here. Once you get that like this, go back and add a drop shadow to it. Gives it a whole new effect. Maybe lower that drop shadow some. Kind of makes it much more 3D that way, doesn't it? The next thing it suggests is to go in and play with bevels. Let's get this original one here. Control J to copy it so I have one to play with. And we'll go into the bevels. And you can see, let's see, which one was it? This one here, Simple Outer. Kind of really gives a, don't have a layer. I need a layer underneath here. And I'm going to fill it with a color. There. Now you can see better what this Simple Outer layer style does to this outline of the text, but you could apply any of them to really get a variety. And remember that you can go into the layer styles and change the bevel around to get something else. Ooh, I actually like that little flat one there, like that. And so lots and lots and lots of possibilities here. Okay, let's see what's next on the tutorial. Here it suggests putting a paper with it and grouping it. And I saw that here in my file from when I originally made this. Here is my original text layer, and here is my paper layer. Let's ungroup these so you can see. Shift Control G. Shift Control G. There, I've ungrouped them. And so there's my paper that I had added, and I put it above the layer with the text. And this would probably work better with a fatter font. But then, just as you have utilized this in so many other ways, you just do a Control G to group it, and you see the little down arrow key that points to this. You can now see that this has been filled with my paper layer. If I wanted to take my paper layer and move it around until I get what I want positioned in here, I can go ahead maybe and add a bevel to it, and that of course is going to change it a whole lot. You need, for the bevels to take shape, you almost need this. And so you can go up here and resize the paper layer, or move it around. It would help if I was on the move tool, and until you get something that you like. Not necessarily the best paper to be utilizing to do this. See, I'm going to resize the paper. That'll maybe give me even different effects. There's something else then that you can do with the outlines. And I think that's the last suggestion on the tutorial. So let's go and look at that yet one more method of getting an outline. And this is the one most people would probably think of. I actually like doing it the way I just showed you, because when we go in here and we can go back and change the stroke to make it fatter or smaller. It makes it more versatile. The way I'm going to show you now makes it a little bit more permanently. Where'd that text layer go here? Make another copy of it to play with. Here's that original text layer. So the other way that you can get the outline of the text is by holding down the Control key and clicking on the thumbnail of this text layer to get the marching ants around the text. I'm going to create a new layer and go to the Edit drop-down menu, Stroke, and here I can choose how wide I want it and what color I want it to be, and click OK. You can see now it's put that outline around here. If I just go, let's Control D, deselect. If I go down to this original text layer, I can turn it off, and I'm left with just my stroke layer here. However, there's no playing around with this. Your stroke is there. If you want to play with a different size stroke, then you're going to need to get another selection and start all over. So as I was pointing out before, the first method is much more versatile. I'm going to go do it again so that you can see the comparison. And where are my drop shadows? There they are. I'm going to add drop shadow to my layer. I'm going to open up the styles and take that drop shadow away because I don't want it, and add a stroke. Now I can change the color of my stroke, and I can play with it to see what size stroke I want. And so that's why this first method is so much more usable than the method most people think of, is that we can play with it to get it just right, and we can change it. And if you'll recall, we go back down and choose the visibility, and we hide that original. Now, just to point out what you can do, you'll remember I recommended before doing other things to this that you simplify it. But what you can do is just hit Control J to preserve this original one. Then you have this one to play with. And after you're done playing with it, let's say you simplify it and you've played with it and messed it up and just decided it doesn't work, you want to change it a little bit, why, we can get rid of that and go back to this original text layer that we saved and set aside. And in addition to the versatility of being able to change the size of stroke, at this point you can even go back and choose a different font. So that's why this first method I shared with you is really much more versatile. And I hope you've had fun learning this. And hey, if you use it in a layout, please share with the rest of us your layout right there in the forum that goes with this video. And that's what makes it so fun, is seeing what everybody else does with all this stuff. And ask if you have any questions. Thanks so much for watching.